Hello everyone, welcome back to Transparent Talk. I'm your host, Allie Graham, and today I am joined by Jaylen Taylor. Thank you for being here today.
No problem, I'm glad to be here.
So just as an introduction of yourself, can you tell me about your major and your minor?
So I don't have a minor, but my major is professional biochemistry.
And what do you plan on doing with that?
So actually I'm preparing to pursue a PhD in biochemistry. So going forward with that, then I would either want to go into industry or to conduct research as in an academic environment.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a place in mind that you want to go to get your PhD?
Yes, so I'm really happy to share that I've been accepted to the University of Michigan Chemistry PhD program, the PhD in Chemistry program at University of Wisconsin-Madison, and the Ohio State Biochemistry program.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
What do you plan on doing as a career moving forward after you get your PhD?
So I'm really debating. So there's two general avenues, like I already said, industry, so you can go into pharmacology, toxicology, big pharma, industry driven, where there's quite a bit of money coming in and out, and obviously there's a big field for that. Or like some of the faculty members, some of the audience might know in the chemistry department, I could become a professor.
Right.
So I could also be doing research, but I'd also be teaching at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Are you currently working on your own research right now?
Yes, so I've done research all 4 years of my time here at EMU. I've done some anti-cancer research. I've done a lot of different things. I've wrapped up a project probably about a couple semesters ago, and now I'm working on a new project where we're looking at more mechanisms than the actual, I guess, viability of a particular treatment. So it's definitely been fun.
So are there any organizations on campus that you are involved with besides that,
right,
or relative to that?
So I'm a member of the Ronald E. McNair Scholars Program here at EMU, which is a government-funded program that their main aim is to perpetuate the number of underrepresented or low-income students pursuing graduate school, whether that be a master's or a PhD. So with that, you need to do research, you have to publish, they pair you up with a mentor. So it's actually a really good program that I hope more people will make use of, as it's been so successful for me, obviously.
How'd you get involved with that?
So I was recruited as a freshman. You start your sophomore year, and so I kind of was just taken in, and here I am.
So you are working this year as EMU's election commissioner.
Yes.
How did you get started in that?
So my sophomore year, I served on the Election Commission Committee under Nate Pyle. So that kind of gave me some experience in student government and what the role of the election commissioner actually is about.
Can you tell me a little more about your role as election commissioner?
Right. So as election commissioner, I'm responsible for putting together the applications, kind of organizing the meetings, and making sure people follow the rules of the campaign. So once you have submitted your application and now you are actually a candidate that's running for your respective position, I'm there to make sure that everyone gets along and everyone follows the protocols in place to make sure that it's a fair, clean, professional election.
Yeah. What would you find to be the biggest challenges as election commissioner?
That is a great question. So far, I think my main goals have been staying organized and keeping the lines of communication open, with the hopes that that will proactively kind of prevent a lot of the problems that might have happened in the past or have been issues in the past. So right now it's just answering questions, getting the people's questions answered so that, you know, the election that I'm hoping that we're going to have that will maintain professional courtesies to other people running, you know, making sure people know what the rules are. So that's been answering emails as quickly as possible with the rules and the regulations.
So what would you say is like a typical, you know, day as election commissioner, like whether it be on election day or prep? Like what are some of your biggest responsibilities and some of just...
So honestly, it's been so far a lot of behind the scenes work, getting the applications ready, getting the documents updated from previous years. You know, right now, keeping my committee, you know, the positions haven't been all filled yet, so putting my committee together and making sure that I've got a team of people who can support the campaign and the election the way it needs to be supported, and staying organized. So I would say in a typical day, I spend maybe a couple hours a day just making sure, all my emails have been responded to, or I've gone through whatever the necessary document that I needed to get from that email, and staying organized and documenting all the interactions that I have with people running. So that's, in a day, it amounts to quite a bit, but it's just staying organized, I think.
So
keep it simple.
How long would you guess that it would take to get the election all put together, have everyone ready to go, have all the candidates set? Pretty much how long is the making of this whole entire process?
So I was appointed back in December, I believe, December. And so from the day I was appointed until the first day of the semester, I immediately hit the ground running with getting the documents updated, because for those students who are running for election, you've seen the application, and there are quite a few dates and little nuanced details that need to be updated from year to year. So I kind of hit the ground running with that, and making all those updates to make sure that the information that the campaign managers, the people who are running for these candidates, what they need, that's the information that they're getting. So I would say probably the last couple of months have been quite jam-packed, plus on top of a normal student schedule. So.
Who all do you have to work with as election commissioner?
Right, so I work closely with our student government advisors, Mr. Lee Graydon and Dr. Perry Francis, and I've got, I think, 5 commissioner members that some who are still yet to be appointed, but I'll have 5 commission members that will also be working with me and helping me to maintain the integrity of the election.
Right. So as election commissioner, it's really important that you stay impartial with your beliefs.
Right.
Do you ever find this to be a challenge at all?
Not really, because I think, as someone who's experienced a lot of different scenarios on campus, as well as interacted with a lot of different students from different backgrounds, from a personal perspective, I feel like everyone's valid in their experience. Nothing I can say or I can feel or another student saying or feeling something can invalidate what someone believes if it's based off their experience. So I think when you have that mutual respect for other people and that open-mindedness, it's really not that hard to be impartial, and I want to see every student succeed in their own way. So, the integrity of the election combined with the impartiality of being open-minded, it's actually been quite interesting to be open and people know that you're open to have those conversations.
So what are some key takeaways or good experiences for the future for you that you have experienced while being election commissioner during this whole process? So
it being my last year, it's been really nice to be in student government and interact with some of the leaders on campus, because while I interact with students in my own way, some of these senators have had some really interesting interactions with students with topics and focuses that really they're passionate about. Things that I quite frankly didn't know that was a problem on campus. So watching them problem solve and watching them come up with, very, I would say, just passionate and I guess, just really passionate ideas about how they can change this campus for the better has been influential on the way that I go forward when interacting with students as well. So that's been probably the best takeaway.
Are there any experiences that kind of surprised you, or just something that kind of came in that you weren't expecting from being election commissioner?
Probably how much fun some of the senators and the executive office actually have. They're actually quite a close-knit bunch, and despite the fact that some of them have different opinions, they all come together and they really do enjoy spending time together and helping change this campus for the better. You kind of get the feeling that there's a lot of division sometimes in student government, especially when different positions exist, but they all do have one objective, which is to help students and advocate on our behalf. So I thought that shouldn't be surprising, but was very surprising to me. Yeah.
That's great. So what is the date for the election?
Right, so the election will be available on myemish.edu. There will be a poll that's available to all enrolled students. The date of the election is March 25th to the 26th. The polls will open and close at a set time. So I would encourage those who want to vote early, but the polls will be open until 8 p.m.
Do you think that there's not enough awareness really being raised about the election for more students to be aware of the importance of their vote and why they should vote?
I think that a lot of EMU students don't realize how much of an impact that the senators and the president and vice president of student government actually have. So I don't think that they feel the need to vote, but I would implore them to really take the time to think about who you want, talking to administrative staff about the resources that are available to you on campus and what your needs and wants are as a student. So please vote. Please vote. It's very important, and you want your voice to be heard, and this is one way that students can do that.
In what way do you think that people could publicize this a little bit more and make it seem a little more urgent?
So one thing that we do want to do as far as this upcoming campaign to encourage students to vote is to make flyers, posters, maybe a lobby table, and we'll also have polls open in different locations on campus to make it easier for people to vote if you don't have a cellular smartphone or something like that, or access to a computer when the polls are open. So there'll be ways for your students to vote. So we try to make it easily accessible, we try to publicize it, but there's always more that we can do. So those are some of the things that I'm putting on myself that I'm actually trying to execute this campaign.
You're trying to actively get it,
right,
raise the awareness of the
exactly,
election, which I think is really important too. So is there any other way that you personally feel people should do to be more active in student government?
So there are a lot of roles that I don't think enough of the student body knows about. So for example, we've had the addition of a few delegates, which represent student organizations on campus, but have some similar powers to that of a senator. So those are also positions that I think where senators do represent the student body, sometimes a delegate representing a significant student organization is also quite important.
We'll be right back.
Welcome to Ypsilanti. Here you'll meet the talented, the fascinating, the proud. Students with the arena to question. Artists with the room to create. Entrepreneurs with the freedom to risk. History buffs with the opportunity to explore. Here, we value authentic conversation over created facade. We value passion over promotion. And we value uniqueness over the expected. Ypsilanti, we are unfiltered. We are authentic. We are real. Ypsi real. True EMU. You are welcome here.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm still here with Jaylen Taylor, the 2020 EMU Election Commissioner. So, as a part of student government in a way, why do you think student government is important for campus?
So, student government gives students the opportunity to speak on pertinent issues for the student body that they're representing. So, the Senate meets, I think, a couple times a month. several times a year, several times a school year, obviously. And they talk about and bring forward issues that affect the student body. So I think this is important because while not every student will get to be a part of student government, speaking on behalf of youth student interests and actually bringing attention to the issues that affect students it kind of bridges the communication between the administration, faculty, and the students who go here.
Can you talk about maybe some of the issues that student government is really passionate about?
Right. So since I've been election commissioner, I've been actively attending the Senate meetings, and a lot of the issues that I've noticed people really focusing on is housing insecurity among students, and how can we best help students who are low income or are struggling financially. Another issue would probably be just how can we best serve the student needs as far as like the DRC, Title IX, a multitude of issues, even as far as Chartwells and food service on campus, parking. I mean, it really spans all the issues that I hear students talking about, which is good. All the student issues that I hear people talking about in their, close-knit niche conversations, I hear that in student government, and it is brought forward to administration.
Right. So do you think that there is a really great variety of representation and diversity of issues, whether it be, just regardless of the wing someone's on, you think there's a decent amount of like harmony and together coming up with ways to help these issues?
Yeah, I do. So senators a lot of times will collaborate on different documents and resolutions to really show that there's an emphasis on focusing on certain student issues. Mm-hmm. So I've seen collaborations that I would not have thought that those two people would have aligned on a certain issue, but by them aligning, it really does show that they may have different beliefs, may have different foundations, but at their core, they're really standing behind what students need here on campus.
So would you encourage more students to join student government?
Of course, yes, definitely. This is not only a great opportunity that will prepare students to learn how to interact with others, but it's a great thing to put on your resume. But going hand in hand with that, it's also a lot of work, and it will teach you how to manage your time, how to be responsible, how to be a leader, and how to interact with others and be a team player. So I definitely think that it's a worthwhile opportunity.
When you say a lot of work on student government, can you kind of tell me what that entails?
So as election commissioner, I kind of went into last segment that, there's a lot of paperwork that needs to be done, a lot of fact checking, going behind yourself and making sure that your documents look good and they're clean and, you're clearly conveying the information that needs to be conveyed. Now, as a senator, I can't speak firsthand, but I know that they work very hard. They have to interact with students. They have to, come to meetings and be prepared and be ready to speak on behalf of the student body. So I would say from an executive standpoint, what I've witnessed is a lot of the same, but more on top of that. So then communicating with senators and then taking that information forward to administration on a regular basis. So honestly, student government is a great opportunity, but it's nothing to be taken lightly.
Right. Would you say that there's some challenges being on student government, of some negative backlash you may have?
I wouldn't say that there's negatives. I would say that there are challenges, and I like to think that challenges will allow you to really push yourself to see the full expanse of your potential. So sometimes it can be hard, managing your time wisely, especially with having later evening meetings and things that you have to attend to. That can also be, balancing your time with your classes and other commitments. However, I would say that when you do those things, you're teaching yourself how to perform at a higher capacity of learning and achievement. So I think as long as you can balance it and you learn how to balance it, it's a worthwhile skill.
Yeah. So what skills do you think that someone should already possess to excel in student government?
So I won't say that there's any skills that you have to have other than being passionate and open-minded. Be in student government because you care, because you want to make a difference, and because you're willing to listen to others and, if anything, be their voice. Yeah.
So do you believe that student government is pretty much the voice of EMU students?
I definitely would echo that for sure. Student government serves as a body of students who represent the student body, and they bring your ideas and your concerns forward to administration and work together to solve those problems among themselves first if they can. So I definitely think that there's a lot of value in having student government and having a place where those voices and those ideas can matriculate forward.
Right. So as of today, is it too late to run for student government?
It is not. So applications have already been released. However, they are not due until February 19th at 5 p.m. to me in the student government office. So after that due date, you would have to file as a write-in candidate, but it's not too late. I would say sooner rather than later. That will make it easier on yourself. And there are a few requirements that have to be met. So you'd have to get all your signatures for your respective position, whether you're planning to be a senator or you're running for vice president or president. You would have to fill out the application and submit it by the due date. So those are things that take a little bit more time than I think people realize, but there's still a little bit of time left.
Right. What would you suggest for someone interested in running possibly in the future to do right now to get started?
So I would say get to know a senator in your class, get to know a senator who lives in your dorm, ask them questions. Just because you're not a senator doesn't mean that you can't be a student voice or work with someone who is a student voice. So if you can't be a senator this year or next coming school year, then I would say use the avenues available to you. So if you're involved in a student org, be a student voice in that respect. Start to understand students' feelings and how they feel about certain subjects, what they're concerned about, what they're up against, what are their personal challenges. And if you can get a good handle on that, by the time you are a senator, you'll have a lot to contribute.
Right. So as a student, there are plenty of students who maybe don't really recognize the power of student government. Why would you encourage them to look more into student government and vote?
So I would encourage them to vote, again, reiterating that student government is our body that speaks for us. And learn more about it, because that is our delegated, respected body to speak on behalf of students to the administration. So by not knowing about it and not being educated about who's speaking for you, I don't want to say that you're being ignorant, but you should understand that the powers that you do have as a student, whether you're in that Senate position or not, and that you do have people in power who are willing to listen to you. So educate yourself about student government so when you do have a problem, you know who you're supposed to go to.
Right. So as a student, where can you go to learn more about the candidates?
So if you're interested in learning about the candidates, an official candidate list will be posted on the EMU Student Government website after they've been approved and we've had our first candidate meeting. That will be forthcoming. But if you want to know more about student government in general, you can go to the website, emusg.com, and there'll be information about the election, when the election is taking place, due dates, things like that, if you're interested in applying, which there's still time. But all the information should be found online.
Are the candidates doing any sort of public debate or speaking at all?
Yes, there will be a debate. The date is to be announced, but it will be taking place in the Student Center.
What will that debate entail? Is it going to be every candidate, or is it going to be?
So the plan tentatively would be for every executive candidate, so vice president and president, to take part in the debate, anyone who's running at that time, and then taking questions from the audience and allowing the candidates to really hash out what they believe in and what their platforms are for that forthcoming semester.
Right. And do you think that this debate would be a good way for candidates to hear what students want changed?
Definitely. So I've seen in past years where the audience has really made their voices heard and really pushed questions that were strong concerns for that particular school year. And the candidates are really put on the spot. You know, what are your plans going forward? How are you going to advocate on our behalf? So it's definitely an event that is to be looked forward to, and you'll learn a lot about your candidates.
Yeah, so you would say that this would benefit both the students and the candidate?
Definitely, definitely.
So for students, once again, who think that their vote may not matter, what would you say to that?
I would say your vote matters. Your vote definitely matters. This is a body that represents you. If you don't vote, it fails to represent you.
Right.
So, you know, if you can't be involved as a senator, you have every right to vote for the senator that you choose, or the vice president and president that you choose. So in order to make your own voice heard and the changes that you care about on this campus known to those who can help, or I guess to alleviate the problem, you have to vote.
Right.
So I would strongly, strongly encourage students to go vote.
So just to reiterate, where and when can students vote?
So voting will be available on the My eMish webpage on March 25th through the 26th, and it will be online voting. But we'll have polls available around campus where they can vote, like we're thinking perhaps in the Commons, the library, in the Student Center. So even if you don't have a mobile phone or a laptop available to you, you'll still be able to participate in the election.
So the accessibility and the ease of being able to vote, making it, you know, more available on different platforms in different places, do you think that's going to help raise voter numbers?
I definitely do. So one thing that we really would like to see is a great voter turnout. The easiest way to do that is to encourage people to vote. So we're planning on, once the campaign season is in full swing, starting February 25th, we'll plan to have some posters and more advertisement to let students know about voting and make it very well known, like this is an opportunity for you to make your voice heard. So please go out and vote for the candidates of your choice.
So when are the results of the election to be posted?
They will be posted March 26th that evening. They'll be counted, tallied, and announced right there in the Student Center.
Okay. Where can you find it if you're not present in the Student Center?
So they will be also available online on the election webpage.
And what's the election webpage again?
So it'll be emusg.com, and then you'll go to 2020 election, and then there'll be a whole page. My face will be there, so you'll know you're in the right place. And it'll have like the election date, the times, my other election committee members, and then there'll be a list of candidates and the winners.
Right.
Yeah.
So is there anything you want to say really quick to voters or future student government members?
To voters, please vote. Please vote. You've earned it as a student. You really need to allow yourself to make your voice heard, make your concerns heard, and to candidates, please take your position seriously. This is a very, very important responsibility. You're representing the student body, and not only does it's very important, so just take it seriously.
Well, thank you for being here today, and thank you for informing me and everyone about the election. And thank you everyone for watching Transparent Talk. We'll see you next time.